Adding, like, we will be adding something which is called call API amtalks. So basically what we are creating is a mask calling. So mask calling is nothing but a simple parameter. Is something like, if I want to call certain person, let's assume there is a person one, there's a person one and person two, right? We want to connect both of them using calling, okay? But we don't want to showcase their number, right? As you guys use Uber and Ola, Margar, right? So they, you don't want to show this number because it can be harmful, it can be personal, and if you are using cab, you don't want your number to be exposed to your cab driver, right? So that's what his basic goal is, and that's what we achieve using mask calling. So we are going to focus in this video of adding mask calling. Right? Mask calling is very simple. It is something like we have one temporary number, temp number, but that's called, which is given by our service provider. And in this case we are using mtalks, and this service provider gives us multiple numbers, and using that number we can achieve the mask calling. So what's the primary mask calling is, assume there is three, then it has three numbers, and like fundamentally first one is temp number, your user's phone number, okay, person one number and person two number, okay. So in that we will be what's mask calling basically is, so mask calling is equals to the person one gets a call from temp number, okay. So in his dialer plate it will be shown as the temp number. The dialer screen will show temp number, okay. And similar to this, in the second case, the person 2 will also receive a call from a same temp number, and thus showcasing dialer showcasing temp number, right? So both of them did not know the real number, and finally temp number and the service provider connects both the call. It is not free, that's a disclaimer, not a free to use, it follows freemium model, right? So now I will show you the example of it. So something I call like right over here. Basically what we have did, like we have wrote two numbers, it's like one of my colleagues and my number, and I will hit the call. As soon as I hit the call, the API for the call is hidden, and as you can see, I don't get the call on the emitter, right? So like that's not possible. We will get the call on our device. As I can think you will not hear this. Yeah, it's sound, but it's pretty low, right? Okay. Once again I will try it. I think you will guys hear me. And now I clicked on the API, and as you can see, right, it's calling. So if I pick it up, my other device will get the call, as you can see. I get the call, I connect both of them, and if I hit the speakers from both of them, you can see my voice is going. Hello? Hello? It's colliding because both of the devices like side by side, right? It requires a new real device. You cannot perform this on emulator. I'm just cutting the call so it's not block my API. Okay, so how we are going to add this? For that, you just have to follow very few steps. All this above steps are basic UI, so you fundamentally have to do this API call, okay, and in that you require to and from number, which will be called according to your account, okay. This API you can get on the mtalks official website and in the demo section. So right now what we are doing is on the call custom button, which is our this call button, we are calling an API on call connect, right? And we are providing from text string and a to text string, which is basically we are providing the number of both the numbers. Then in the API, we using the endpoint void HTTPI zone and the API. Then we are providing our token, our account, our PIN. This is our PIN. This is our campaign ID, and this is our to and from number, right? And then we are just calling it a response of http get URL. We will getting the response and the status. In status is equals to success, we return the success, and which is what we are printing over here, as you can see. So it's very simple to do. It's like 3 to 5 minutes of work. Account creation is 5 to 7 minutes, and this is 5 to 7 minutes. So if I show you, I will build an API in front of you. How to achieve that? We'll just copy this. Okay, just comment it out. Let's create this API from scratch, just for the students who are not like very used to this stuff. Okay, so we have removed the API. We have our created text fields. So starting with, let's remove this. So we will create API, which will be a future. It returns a string. As we know, it will return a success or failure. And let's give call connect. Let's call this API call connect. Same name, right? Okay. And in this, it requires 2 parameters, which is string from and string to, right? Then we will return something, and it requires a string, and that's it. I think it's gonna be error because it requires an async future string, and we just gave it to the normal string. So for that, you just have to add the async, and this error will come because it's now in a wait state. Now you have to add the try catch because we are calling the API, so it's better approach to try catch. Then we will create a URL, which is where URL, which is equals to URI parameter, URI dot parse. We are using the same method as we showed you. I'm adding the URL to that. This is our URL. Just copy it from your domain, and you get that. As soon as we get that, we will just go to where response. We'll store the response in this, and in this we are calling the http dot let's add, which is called get API, right? We are going to get API. We are putting the APIs, and one more thing, we have to add the await over here and http. So what is this http? Basically it's nothing but we are using the package http as the http. On the pubspec YAML you can see http, and here's the http, right? It's good, right? Then again, going back to our file. Okay, here we go. We are just getting a response, and after that we have to use this response according to our needs. So we have to first check what's the status of the response. So we can just call if response dot, not the response, it's gonna be response body. We are going to take the body and the response. One more thing, we have to JSON decode. Then as we know, okay, it's gonna be a status. Okay, as you can see, I is showing this parameter over here, and then we just convert it to the string. Okay, and we will check if it's equals to success. If it's equals to success, then what we will do, return. Right now we'll just return the simple success. Otherwise, else we'll return failure. Okay. Add a semicolon. Also, we can also add the failure over here. So that's the simple API creation, and now we can again test it. I'll just uncomment this line. It's like basic async away, right? So it's not gonna be changed by me, right? We just call the API again, as you can see. Call the API. We have to wait for a few seconds in this. It's how we are calling. I get the call in one of my devices, as you can see the ring. Yeah, it's pretty awkward, but it's good. You can hear this, right? I picked up the call, I put it on the speaker, and you can see it's ringing. My second phone. I muted one device, I'll open the second phone. Hello there. As you can see, it's working now. We can kind of like, I can't unmute both of them. It's not gonna work, right? So basically I just unmute one, you can see the call is working. So thank you, have a nice day. Thank you. You're the best Flutter, right? Bye bye.